Need to go do some laundry. I need to go get some groceries all day. Need to call home. Need to read your project book. For most of us, this feeling of having so many things to get done, the busyness that ends up leading us to one of these two responses. Either, oftentimes like me, you just give up. Just say screw it and just start doing something that distracts us. For many of us, that means going to social media or games or just hanging out with friends. Some of us just want to read a good book, just want to sleep. We just kind of give up on all the things that we need to get done, all the things we want to get done, just say, you know what, I'm just going to go do something easier. But whatever our means are as far as distracting ourselves, the feeling we have is often one of being overwhelmed, often defeated, and our response is to hide in unimportant activities. And so the other response is one of just kind of buckling down and pushing through it. And so a lot of you have been feeling that over this project. We drink an immense amount of caffeine. We sleep less. We neglect the people around us. And we do whatever we need to do to get what needs to get finished. But this creates a ton of stress and anxiety. In the end, we just feel burnt out. Some of you are feeling that right now. I just don't want to be here. I don't want to wake up again. I just want to kind of sleep, and I'm just done. And so 2 points that I want to start with are these. First, you guys don't need more time. So don't get me wrong on that. It would be really helpful if you did. It would be a lot easier. I wish I had more time writing this talk. My wife knows. But the reality is you don't need more time. And 2, even if you did need more time, you can't get it, and you're not going to get it. There's 24 hours in a day, and no matter how much you wish there were 28, you're just not going to get it. So my hope for today is to try and help you start to get more out of the time you do have. I had a buddy in college who decided he wanted to get more out of his day. Some of you may know this story, but he was in some kind of philosophy class or psychology class, I don't know, probably psychology. And he came back one day and decided, man, I'm only going to sleep 3 hours a day. And so what he did and what he had learned in this class was that you can train your body to go into REM sleep faster. And so every 2 hours and 40 minutes on the dot, he would drop whatever he was doing, set an alarm for 20 minutes, and take a 20-minute nap, wake up, and keep going. He did this for 3 weeks. If anybody has ever been around somebody who isn't sleeping though, what happens? They get cranky, they get mean, they don't do anything. Like, he was sleeping less, but he was doing less too. He was just like so exhausted all the time. In theory, it sounds great, 3 hours of sleep. In the end, I think a bunch of our friends, we just started turning off his alarm and started waking him up from his naps. And so he just kind of forced to quit. But so for today, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna practice that. I'm just kidding. But the point about that story is that we're willing to do some pretty crazy things to try to gain some more time. We're willing to do about whatever it takes to make it feel like we have more time in our day, more time to get what we want to get done. But I honestly don't think it's that difficult. I don't think we need to sleep 3 hours a day. I think there's a little easier solution. But before we talk about how do you more effectively use your time, I want to help us to see why, biblically, and why this is important. We just talked briefly about how we often feel the weight of our business and feel stressed and burnt out and just want to give up. And that in itself is a good reason to pursue a better way of time management. But actually there's a better reason to use your time more effectively and not to stay in this anxious feeling of busyness. And so the reason being that the Bible, it encourages us to plan, to prepare, to not be anxious. So Proverbs 6:6-8, that says this. It says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest." It doesn't say that the ant prepares its food in the winter when it's cold and it's too late. She prepares beforehand. Ephesians 5:15-17 says, Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time. Because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. And make the best use of the time. The days are evil. Matthew 6:27. Which of you, being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? No matter how anxious we get about what we need to get done, it's not going to add any more time to our life. And so as Christians, we're taught to, and we should plan and prepare and trust the Lord. And so this morning, I want to help us develop in two areas. One, I want us to learn how to manage our time so we don't always feel this anxiety and this of being overbooked and just helpless. And I want us to understand that our time is not our own. And because of that, we don't simply spend it how we think we should spend it. So has anyone here ever heard of Stephen Covey's bucket? Maybe after I tell the story, you'll understand, or you'll remember it. But the story goes that the professor stood before class just like this, and he holds up an empty mayonnaise jar. And what he does, he pulls out some large rocks, and he puts them inside the mayonnaise jar until nothing fits anymore. And he asks the class, "Is the jar full?" To which everybody replies, "Yes, it is. Nothing else can fit in." He's like, "Okay." So he pulls out a bag of pebbles, and he starts dropping them in this jar. And they kind of like fit around all the rocks and just kind of fill in the empty spaces. And he's like, "Okay, is the jar full?" They all kind of laugh, starting to get it, like, "Oh yeah, there's more space, and it's full." And then again, he pulls out a bag of sand, and then he fills up this jar the rest of the way with sand. And the point is, and he explains that the big rocks are the important things in life, right? They're your God, they're your family, your friends, the things that really matter. The pebbles were kind of the other things that mattered. Your job, your cars, your phones, things like that. And the sand was kind of the less important things, your social media, your games, your hobbies, things like that. And so the problem is, that's what he explained, is that if you fill the jar with sand first, nothing else is going to fit. You're not going to be able to fit into the things that are actually important. But that's what we often do. And so our world kind of fills up, our world fills up their lives with the things that aren't that important, like social media and games and everything like that, and then we don't ever have time for God or family. We see it on project even. We see the things we want to do, and we go do those, and then our time in the Word starts to falter, and our time in prayer becomes secondary, because we just don't have time for it. We have other things we're filling up our jar with. And so today, a lot of what we're going to talk about in practice has to do with priorities. It's like what's most important. The reason most of us often feel pressed for time isn't because we don't have enough time, but really it's because we don't prioritize the time we do have, and we spend it on things that aren't as important. And so, for the most part, almost everything we do or want to do or need to do can be categorized into these one of four categories. And it kind of looks like this up here. Whether it's urgent, not urgent, important, not urgent. So you see each quadrant kind of represents something different. So as you see, the first quadrant is the urgent and the important quadrant. This is what I kind of like to call the oh shoot quadrant, the things that you kind of put off until the last minute and realize, I need to get this done right now. I need to take time to work on this because it's due and it's important. This is things that are just kind of come up out of nowhere. You don't always expect them. A family member dies and you have to fly out somewhere to go be with your family, or someone gets sick and you have to be with them, or you just get something thrown on you and you have to do it. Things that need to get done, but you also don't have a lot of time to get them done. The problem is that this leaves you to ignore a lot of the people around you and the things you love and actually need to get done. And many of us often live in this quadrant, always busy all the time. It's even become like a show of success in our life. Like our response to how you doing? Oh man, I'm tired, I'm busy. You know, like almost like a pride thing of like, yeah, I'm doing a lot. Like I'm tired, I'm busy. But the problem is that this leaves us feeling burnt out and stressed. Just like I was saying, it's not healthy, and it's not helpful, and it causes us to really ignore the ones we love and just the calling that God has called us to. And so the second quadrant, this is the important, not urgent quadrant. This is where you actually should be spending most of your time. You're doing things that actually need to get done, or things that you really value. This is where you've set a vision for your lives. Even thinking of this summer, you guys came in with a why. Why are you here? And these are the things that, in light of your why, these are important. They're not necessarily due right now. You don't actually have to read your project book until Monday night if you don't want to. But then it becomes urgent. It's just important things. And so you're taking away the stress of always living in crisis. You free yourself up for time with people. You actually get to live out a life of purpose. And what I mean by that is, instead of just living dependent on what is right now, right here, needs to get done, thrown at you, you actually get to live out your design, kind of what God has prepared for you. You get to say no to tasks that aren't important. They're just not that important, and say yes to things that do fit your design. Occasionally, you're gonna come here. Like it's just gonna happen. You can't really, occasionally you're gonna have to do things that don't fit into this. That's what I meant to say. You still have to do your homework, even if you don't think you need to. Like, it's still needed. Basically what I'm saying is that you get to live a life that is busy, laborious, fun, and exciting, without having to feel the stress of needing it done now, without having feeling the burnt out of being exhausted because you haven't had time to rest in a week. So the third quadrant, it is the not important but urgent quadrant. This is what I like to call the distracting quadrant. And it's the phone calls, the emails, the texts, people who need you right now for things that just aren't important to you. If you're a people person, meaning you hate to let people down, this is a hard quadrant for you to escape. This is a quadrant where urgent things, whether personal or impersonal, often take first priority over important things. My wife is like this a lot. It's a really sweet thing to love people. Just yesterday, sorry Lauren, I'm telling a story about us, I hope you don't mind. Just yesterday, we were all set to go to Glen Erie. It kind of a more stressful morning, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. And we finally figured out, okay, we're gonna ride with the Merrills. We've got a ride. We're all good. Just kind of feeling burnt out. And Justin comes in and he kind of drops off our car keys or something and asks, "Do you guys have space in your car for a ride?" I'm like, "No, we actually are riding with somebody else." And that's kind of it for me. In the background, everyone's like, "Oh, do you need a ride?" Even though really we don't have a ride to offer him. It's like, it's really loving and really caring, but like, we just got out of a stressful situation. We have a ride. We're doing, everything's kind of figured out. But like, to Lawrence, this is important to Justin. He needs a ride, and so I want to take care of that, which is a really good thing to care about. But it just wasn't that important to us. If that makes sense. You know, it's not. Sorry, Justin. But it's true. But I mean, this is a good point. Like, it kind of sounds harsh because this does sound harsh in a lot of ways. But there's just a reality that you guys need to get things done, and it means you've got to say no to things. It means that even though someone may come to you and think that their world is ending because they have to get something done as well, it might not be the most important thing for you to do right now. I have no way right now. Like I said, it's not bad to enter into this quadrant. It makes you feel loved and cared for. It's a good thing to answer your phone and to reply to people. It just might not be that important in the moment. And so, kind of one last thought with this is that if you don't learn to say no, this quadrant will keep you from getting to the important things. It will keep you from living out your life's purpose, unless, of course, your life purpose is servant, just doing whatever people want you to do, which is probably not. And lastly, the fourth and last quadrant is the not important and the not urgent quadrant. I'm not going to go too much into detail with this, but we, as a people, have started to spend way too much time in this quadrant. Um, it's the quadrant of time wasters: social media, games, play, hobbies. I use the word time wasters, but I want to be clear. I don't think all of these things are bad, and I don't think it's bad to go into this quadrant. I don't think it's bad to be on social media. I don't think it's bad to be playing sports and enjoying different things of life. I think it's a really good thing. It's just not where we should be spending most of our time. It's a really good place to enter into rest, to enjoy the things that God has given us. But the problem is that we often will jump to this area as an escape. We'll jump to this quadrant because we don't want to deal with the important. We don't want to deal with the urgent. So we just kind of hide behind games and just hobbies and social media and books and things like that. So I just want to give some general rules as we think about these quadrants, and then we're going to kind of practice it. While you want to spend most of your time in quadrant 2, you will need to spend time in other quadrants. Things are going to come up, things are going to get urgent, things are going to be important that you just didn't expect. And you need to, even quadrant 4, you need to go there to rest. It's really important that you get time to rest. 2, you want to minimize your time in quadrant 3, as it's often what feels urgent and important, but really it's just distracting you away from what actually is important. And lastly, you really want a healthy balance between 1 and 4, both of which you're going to be entering into at one point. But it's just not where you're going to spend most of your time. So the cool thing about this is that we're actually going to practice it today. Is that it can be used as a really helpful and really productive time management tool. I use it. I've recently. I say I used it. I used it once. Let's be real. It's a really good, like, if anybody uses a to-do list, this is a really good way to do it. And that's what we're going to practice today. Because it helps you to see and actually look at, okay, not only where should I be spending my time, but where am I spending my time? And you'll see, oh, I've got all these important, urgent things. And all of a sudden it's going to make sense. Like, this is why I'm feeling so burnt out. This is why I'm feeling so stressed right now. And so the hope is that it'll guide you into, okay, how can I start living more into the second quadrant where I'm getting a lot of important things done, but not feeling that urgency. And so we're going to actually do this. I'm going to give you guys about 10 to 15 minutes in a blank sheet of paper. Courtney, could you start passing this out? Thanks. And just, I want you guys to draw this quadrant on there. And before you even start, I would start by just writing out everything you can possibly think of that you need to do for the week. Just do for the week. Don't worry about going too far out. And as you start to see everything you got to do, just start kind of categorizing them. Then this needs to get done today. This needs to get done tomorrow. Like, this is urgent. This is important. This isn't that important. It'll help you see kind of where you're spending. And feel free to put things like, man, I want to be on social media this week. I want to play some game with some Truku with Leo. You know, like, add those things as well. Add as much as you possibly can. Okay. And last, before you guys even start, I just want to say, as you're considering this and as you're trying to think, okay, what is important to me? What is actually important? I really want you guys to revisit your why that we brought up earlier in the summer. Why are you guys on project? Why are you still here? You guys can leave at any moment. Like, why are you guys still here? What is the vision behind it? Because when you start to understand what your why is, like, what's important starts to become really clear. So that's the hope. Go ahead and take 10 to 15 minutes to do that. And yes, I'll come up in a little bit.